Hey guys, welcome back to Brutally Honest, a WoW podcast. We just got done recording episode 7 with Marez, PlkaTV, and Andybrew. Super duper appreciative of these guys sitting down with me over these over a couple of hours and just hanging out and having fun. Talked about tanking, of course, talked about tanking, talked about the highs and the lows, the wins and the losses, why people avoid tanking a lot of times. They were extremely generous with wisdom and with advice and all that fun stuff. So if you want to learn about tanking, learn about these guys, of course, listen, watch. Speaking of listening, real quick, I'll be getting everything. I'll be getting all of these episodes up on Spotify and Apple and Amazon and every other podcast platform you can think of this week. I finally got that squared away. So apologies for taking so long. But anyway, gonna get out of my own way. Here's the episode. Enjoy it. And thanks for listening or watching. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for episode, 7, I think? My goodness. I have with me here today literally 3 of the most insane tanks out there in Mythic rating and Mythic plussing. My name is Brutall. This is Brutally Honest, a WoW podcast, and obviously we are talking to some tanks today. But before I get into too much, I just wanted to say thank you guys for being here. You guys, just like every other guest that's been here, you're amazing for carving out some time and sharing a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of your story with everyone, your perspective. So, Andy, if you could just take a moment, introduce yourself, let us know who you are, where you can be found, what you're doing, and that's about it, man. Take it away.
Sure. Hi, I'm Andybrew. I used to be a Race World First tank. Currently, I'm playing in Advance. It was World 6 Guild. But I mean, I think for like numerous seasons, I've like done kind of like high end plus pushing. I've been rank 1 radar a few times, and that's about it with me, I guess.
So you kind of know what you're doing. Is that what I'm picking up from you?
Yeah, a little bit.
You may have an idea. Well, thank you so much for being here, man. I really do appreciate it. Well, I'm sorry, what?
No, I just said a small amount.
Just a little bit. And then, of course, real quick, as I always say, under everyone's name, you can find their Twitch name, not their URL, but where you can find them on Twitch. And of course, in the YouTube description, you'll find links to their Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, all that fun stuff. So make sure you guys follow these gentlemen and go give them subs and love and all that fun stuff. So Marez, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Your turn, my friend. Who the heck are you? What are you doing here? What's going on?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Nailed it.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. No, Marez, I mean, I'm a tanker man in the raiding department. I've played many tournaments as DPS, so I might be infiltrating the tanking ranks a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'm currently tanking Race World First for Echo, and yeah, I've also tanked with Andy in the past. Yeah, that's basically it, I guess. Yeah, we're tanking some stuff, I guess, but mainly raids though. Not too much dungeons, to be honest.
You don't do much Mythic Plus tanking?
Nah, not so much, no.
Well, you know who does? This guy down here in the corner, Mr. PlkaTV. What's up, man? How you doing? Plka and I, we used to do Mythic Plus back in the day. I would say I taught him everything he knows, but that is most assuredly not true. Plka, what's up, man? Who are you? What's going on?
Oh yeah, I'm a guy that you met at the back of a gas station because you needed a 4th person for this podcast. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. No, but all seriousness, I am a protection warrior / tank main for Mythic Plus. I do raiding as DPS, but also tanking on the side there. I don't know why I'm doing with these other 2 champions onto my, side and top above here. These guys are legends, but hopefully I'll be able to give some insight on more of, the Mythic Plus scene that is not attributed to the Race the World First style. But yeah, just an average guy.
Hey, you're nothing average about you. Aren't you like 7'4", something like that?
Well, compared to like Andybrew, everyone's like 7'4".
Okay, come on now. I'm literally 6'1", but sure, okay. Just because you're taller than me.
All right, you're a legend in and of itself. Plka, don't sell yourself short. No pun intended. But thank you for being here. Appreciate all of you guys. Now, Marez and Andy, this next question, which is a group question, all right, it's for everyone. Plka did a little bit of homework. He sent me a clip that I'm going to share with you guys. But Andy, I'm going to start with you with this little icebreaker question. What is the most tank, quote unquote, tank moment of your career? Maybe it was a pull you saved. Maybe it's a pull you scuffed. A moment where you realized, only tanks kind of deal with this kind of stuff. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, hang on. There is like wait, maybe I can link it to you in Discord.
Sure. Yeah, Maris, do you
mean,
want to answer the
probably
question
this.
while he pulls it up? Oh, you already found it. Hold on, let me grab it. Let me grab it.
Holy.
Yeah, this is probably
Where's the
my
sec-
most infamous
the-
clip from
All right, hold on. Let me pull it up here. Stand by. Stand
from
by.
BFA.
Let me get it loaded on my end, everyone. Hold on. All right, what is this? Close that. Oh, it's asking me to allow ads. 1 second, everyone. 1 second. Here we go. All right, I'm pulling it up on screen. Let's see if this works, by the way. Oh, it worked. Excellent. Okay, here we go. Stand by. Let me unmute this.
Only when it's double.
Hey, this is from a clip from before you became an unk. Oh my god.
He was
Yeah,
still
he-
young, man. He
um,
was still young.
So here we are. Is this Siege of Paralysis? What is this?
You snapped.
Wait,
No, this is-
what happened?
This is Total Gore.
Oh, totally.
Uh,
It's double.
What happened was I left my Transcendence in the previous boss room, and I forgot it was there. And then normally how I deal with this Deadeye mechanic was I'd always like Transcendence it because you don't want to move on this
Right.
boss.
This
'cause
is the
otherwise you get
crossfire
stunned.
boss, right? At the top of the dungeon?
And I forgot place it again. And yeah,
So
we
you
depleted
teleported
because of it. Yeah.
How embarrassing
There's a-
was this for you on a scale of 1 to 10?
It was pretty embarrassing, I would say.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with the class. I appreciate that. That was perfect. Maris, is anything springing to mind for you? It can't possibly be more embarrassing than that, though. Let's be honest.
Oh, I don't sadly have any clip prepared, but I have been great clips of me walking off on Dimmy in progress. I don't have it prepared, but I did walk off on Dimmy instead of mounting up and then walking off with the mount. I just walked off because I canceled the mount too early. So that was rough. It was also replayed on the Echo main broadcast like 10 times probably, but that's fine. No, but
That's amazing.
regarding the question, I mean, I think tanking wise, it's probably playing Blood Decay and just staying alive, everyone else is dead, and you just play the boss for yourself for the next 30 seconds or something. That is always a beautiful tank moment.
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
I've been known to walk off a platform or two in my time. Don't feel too bad. I think we've all done it. Don't worry. Plka, I've got this clip prepared for you. Let me swap over here. All right, so set this up. This is in
The Cinder Brew Meadery.
oh boy. And so you rush in here. And what goes wrong? What happened? What happened? Did you
I
turn
already
your
know what's
back
gonna
to a
happen.
mob? What happened?
Wrong way. Left side. Did not mean to pull that. Okay, to be fair, okay, just like as a preference, okay, tanking in dungeons, the first pull, you can ask any tank, is always like the hardest setup. Because when all the DPS have every CD, so they're like, pull as big as you can, but you have to survive without the healer really healing you because like they don't want to get healer threat while you're gathering. So like you have a lot of pressure to do it like really quickly before patrol. So you know, just sometimes you click on the wrong mob and you run into the wrong area, and then a lot of time you're just like, well, this is over. Especially with Brazil keys, you know, you just kind of just like, fuck it, go again, right? So like another clip here that you're trying to play again is kind of like the same thing, right? So this is Workshop, the very first pull, and most tanks, you know, you kind of go in and then you're like gathering, you're getting it ready, and then oh shoot, and then typically everything goes wrong and then you die. I'm sure Andy and Mears have tons of this kinds of clips, but
No.
for some reason my chat likes to save them all.
That's because they're amazing.
No,
man.
these clips don't happen. No.
Oh,
mean,
okay, yeah, it's just me
It's just
then, yeah,
Just
yeah,
being
yeah,
honest.
yeah. I think.
I mean,
My
bad,
yeah, but
yeah.
yeah.
I thought I learned from the Andybrew stream I thought that's how you do this pull. I thought you die, you go again, because I'm pretty sure I see it on his stream like every time I watch.
That's
thank you-
crazy,
thank you for-
Flame, looking at this game.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, guys. Just goes to show you, they're just like us. All right, they may be world-class performers, but they're just like us. They make mistakes. Thank you guys for doing that. I really do appreciate it. Real quick before we get into the nitty gritty here, if you guys have questions, which I've already seen a couple pop up, you can type in your question. My mod Druish will capture it. My Nightbot will capture it, etc., etc. And if we have time, and if there's enough. If there's enough time, then I'll ask these guys the question, and we'll rock and roll with that. But right now, we're just gonna go ahead and get started. And real quick reminder for you guys: if something that somebody says sparks a thought, please jump in. I don't want this to feel like it's a big turn-taking thing. You don't need my permission. Just do your thing. The less this feels like an interview, the better, IMO. So, topic 1. What exactly goes through the mind of a tank when you guys are tanking? So, at a world-class level, tanking isn't just playing your character. It's literally thinking differently. These guys handle things that us plebeians don't ever handle on a daily basis. So, Maris, we're going to start with you. What's the biggest mental shift that separates tanks that perform at that level versus everyone else? Or do you think it's just the same?
I mean, I think it fundamentally, I guess, is the same because you need to play tank and play the boss, I guess, right? But I would say there's two different things. One of them is the strategy. You need to make it yourself together with the guild, right? Like in a race toward first, you don't know what the boss is, like what the strat will be because you can't look at people. So you cook it yourself, meaning also you can't just copy timers of like other people or other tanks, and you need to do your own stuff. And then the other thing is also probably, which is a bigger thing just mentally, or like how you approach the game, is that you just go into the boss with the mindset of how do you feed the boss the best and not how much damage you do or whatever. It's mainly like thinking for the group and as a team instead of just thinking for your own way. That's why tanks often end up with the shitty jobs as well, because they're kind of the victims of the raid leaders and the tactic makers be like, the tank can surely do that. I think Brutall in the past has been the prime example of, this guy can do all these shitty jobs. And then he end up with that, sadly. Andy has been in that position in the past,
Yeah.
He was healing and...
they call it the cuck tank, is what they call it.
I think on Furak, Andy was healing more than he was going at the end, right? I think it was.
Yeah, it's true.
So it was rough. Yeah, it was rough.
I mean, that's got to be one of the craziest things. I've obviously never been in the race to world first. I don't perform at that level. I never could, even if I wanted to. I know myself. I know my limitations. But yeah, coming up with the strategies and seeing these encounters and having to overcome the stuff literally before anyone else, my brain doesn't work that way. And I can't even fathom like the trial and error and the going back to the drawing board that is part of that process. Does it ever get frustrating for you?
Oh, I mean, for me, definitely not. I mean, that's why I'm doing it since so many years
it's the thing you love, right?
Yeah, I love playing the game, and I also love making strategies or doing the race. Like just playing something that is not known to other people or that you do yourself is very, very cool. I think it was the same as, I don't know if you guys have any, this is a quick side topic, but the Diablo 4 release on Friday, that they released Paladin right before, and I had never played that class. You log on, you read the spells, you check out what's happening. I mean, it is sadly not that much anymore in the race because we have PTR, we have Dungeon Journal, we have raid testing and everything, right? But especially for the bosses where you don't see stuff, like having the theories and hours of talks, it is very interesting, and that's also what I love. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I wish that my brain worked more like yours because I look at that stuff and I'm just like, I don't know. I'll let smarter people figure it out. That's what I'm here to do. Plka, with you being more of a Mythic Plus guy, you're pulling things over and over and over again between packs and bosses and dungeon and dungeon and whatnot. What do you see as that level when it comes to your tanking at that level during a pull that maybe the average tank doesn't, especially once you're either before you're practiced at it or once the dungeon has been cleared 50 plus times?
I think there's like a lot of different aspects that you'll see differently. I think especially is apparent when you're playing like an off meta tank, for instance, right? If you're watching like the pros and the MDI and they're all playing like VDH for that season, and you see, it's a big silent sigil pull and they group with chains, things like that. And how do you deal with that if you don't have like a boomkin silence? It's all about the innovation, right? Like how do you do or replicate what the top players are doing with the different tools that you have? So that's something that you kind of go in like, okay, if I don't have silence sigil, do I have AoE silence, right? Or maybe do I have to replace with stuns or with a AoE rotation? Or maybe you need to find like a good LOS spot. These are like the key things that you need to do, not only as like a tank player, but as a team, in order to be innovative on the spot, to be a very good and successful tank player. On top of that, I think a lot of average tanks I see out there, especially when I'm like having my fun playing as DPS player, is a lot of tanks don't really look at DPS cooldowns, right? It's something that we kind of lose in Midnight because we can't see like DPS, like, is Metamorphosis ready? Is like Incarnation ready? But knowing what kind of tools your DPS have at a certain time kind of dictates like how big you can pull or how big you should pull rather, in order to make have success the most with your group.
Andy, so to kind of tack onto that, Andy, how much of that he's describing comes from planning ahead? We talked about Omni-City, and now we're no longer going to have Omni-City and so on and so forth, versus reading what's unfolding in real time. I mean, I know I can only assume both is obviously extremely important, but what do you take away from that?
I mean, when you're doing like a high level dungeon, it's mostly about kind of like scripting certain pulls, kind of like what Tim is talking about. Except you, as you get better and better in that dungeon, and like as you practice more, you usually have it to the point where like every like stun or CC is like pretty much like scripted. Maybe there's like a few kind of like FFA random stuff that you can do. So I would say it's mostly not really planning ahead, more like you've already like planned it before, or you've gotten it's just like practice basically. As with like anything. I mean, that's basically what the MDI is in a nutshell. Or like if you look at like Radar.io, all the top keys are all like that basically. Like nothing is like I would say in a way it's probably more impressive when you get kind of like these kind of like people that haven't played much together and they just kind of like YOLO a key together. Because that's like more planning ahead. You have someone who's like just calling on the fly type of thing. And there isn't as much control going on there. It's more like reaction kind of like gameplay. And I think as a tank, it's harder to play like that because obviously you have to like plan in advance. I used X cooldown here. Normally I need something for the next pack or this boss or whatever. And I don't have it. So then I need to kind of like react to that accordingly, type of thing.
Do you like being the shot caller in Mythic Plus, Andy?
No, not really. It's really difficult, I think, to kind of like do like the cutting edge type of key level while also shot calling as a tank is really hard. I mean, I have like tried it, but the problem is that you always get to this like kind of like point where you kind of like need a lot more reps to be able to call and do your own stuff versus if someone else was doing it for you, and you were just purely focused on your own gameplay. You would basically solve like your part of I guess the equation of doing the dungeon faster. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like a good skill to like kind of like at least be like aware, because some people just like purely tunnel vision when they play. Like a lot of DPS I've played with, like they tunnel vision. They don't look at like stops or kicks at all, really. Like as they're playing, like they'll only like do what they're told when someone tells them to do something, which I think is really bad because I think especially when something might go wrong, like the cooler might like kind of like miss something for like a split second or whatever. And if you're kind of like more kind of like aware of what's going on, you're going to be able to like solve a potential kind of like failure point. I think that's, well, I'm kind of like rambling on a bit, but I think that's what separates like a good player from like a great player.
I think, Andy, what you're saying is that being an EU tank is easier than being an NA tank because NA tanks are required to be the shot caller, where EU tanks get to have a DPS do it for them. I think that's justly what you're just kind of saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Also, don't worry, no one will be able to see kicks and stops in a few months, so it'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we'll see if there's like anywhere, or we'll see if that actually goes ahead. But
yeah, I'm curious to see what kind of workarounds people are going to come up with. But nevertheless, Plka, would you agree with all that? Is that what you're saying?
I think being a shot caller in that regard is very difficult as a tank, but having a tank shot caller is better than not having a shot caller at all. right?
Yeah, that's true.
So like even if it like the hardest thing about it is that obviously whoever does the shot calling, your performance will go down, right? It's like a raid leader in raid, right? Like I think that's the why the 21st man ever became a thing, right? With like all the top guilds. Maybe I'm wrong, Miras, but like being able to oversee everything and be out of the situation and tell everybody what to do and more play StarCraft as opposed to play WoW is like a lot easier when you don't have to be playing and doing it at the same time, right? Like, yeah. But I mean, personally, I enjoy the shot calling portion, but sometimes it's just kind of too much, and you need to step back in order to let someone else take the reins so you can really focus on your own gameplay in a difficult situation.
I just want to say, Marez, I want to apologize for the way this gentleman just mispronounced your name. All right, just want to
No,
go
it's
on
great.
record.
It's
How dare you,
great,
Plka?
yeah.
Or should I say Plka? Should I see the capital L in your name on your shirt, sir?
I called him Miras in the Hilton lobby the whole night, and he didn't say anything about it.
That's
so
true. He's right. He's right. Like I
just
said,
it.
yeah, it's a 50-50.
Marez, as you've worked with and taught other tanks over the years, what do you find is harder for people to learn? Seeing the whole picture of a fight, or is it staying calm enough to make the right decision when everything else is going wrong around you?
I mean, I could say for raiding, I think it really depends what the job is that the tanks will need to do, let's say, I guess. Because on some bosses, their tanks truly don't really have that much going on, and they can focus on helping other people and maybe salvaging something if the DPSs are in shambles or whatever. I think Dimi first phase is a great example where, as a tank, this was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience of not doing anything. So there's great to obviously get overview and see what's going on or whatever. And the other thing is, there you need to have a switch where, for example, last phase in Dimit is really difficult for tanks. They need to lock in and focus on their own stuff. But I think in terms of learning, it is easier to learn your own stuff and like perform really well yourself, which would also be the first step in my opinion. And then the second thing is learning the overall strat picture of what is going on, what other people are supposed to do, and how you can help them as a tank in certain scenarios, especially in raiding, right? Like, and then plus you have always something to do with yourself, right? But in raiding, there's oftentimes you're just AFK for 35 or 40 seconds, just hitting the boss. And yeah, I mean, sometimes you can help the team, sometimes you're also just useless, right? Depends. But I think a lot of people are also doing it wrong and trying to help too much, and then they forget about focusing on their own, and then it's shambles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like the two fine gentlemen already said, I think shot calling as a tank is fucking horrible experience in case you have to do it, because you have so much to do, especially in M+, right? Where the DPS are the BM hunters standing in the back. Guys, in the MDI, I don't know if you watched, but the BM hunters, they were standing 3 minutes, stand still, one spot on a boss, and then, yeah, they just don't talk. It's rough. Yeah.
Don't hate on the BM hunters, all right? I've been playing BM hunter for the past 10 years, all right?
Yeah, yeah.
problem,
No,
Brutal.
I know what you do. Yeah, I know what you do in the dungeon. Nothing, yeah?
I do good damage, sir. Good damage. How dare
Yeah,
you?
good damage. Okay. Good damage. I apologize.
Plka, since you're clearly not good enough to tank at a Mythic rating level, does tanking in Mythic Plus at your level, which is, in all due respect, pretty high, does it feel more like leading the group, or is it more like absorbing an overwhelming amount of information and just making peace with it?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, right? But I think information, at least at Mythic Plus, is probably the most important thing while you're in the dungeon and out. I think I've mentioned this quite a few times in my stream or like in other podcasts. Was I think the amount I play is probably only a third in comparison to how much research I actually have to do outside of the game, right? And I'm sure this is for both of the other guys as well. Is you're watching constant amounts of streams, going through logs, right? Because a lot of time you have like only a couple of attempts and maybe even like one attempt in order to do a specific dungeon, right? But in order to be successful in that dungeon, you have to go and research, see what other people are doing, see how you can improve on what other people are doing, and basically have the whole plan out right before. Sometimes you can spend 40 minutes like talking about a dungeon just to wipe on the first pull. Like it happens like such a regularly normal thing for everybody, right? You talk about, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, this is gonna happen, and then something bugs or some DPS misses a kick like a BM hunter that's just YOLOing, and then it's just all over, right? So yes, you do lead the group, but an overwhelming amount of knowledge is necessary to make it successful.
I don't appreciate the BM hate. All right, guys, let's reel it in. All right, BM hunter is a big deal, especially right now. We're really good right now. I'm actually not even maining BM hunter anymore, but I got you, BM hunters. I got your back. Andy, when you're tanking at these levels that we've been discussing, what's actually driving your decision making? Is it, we've already discussed the plan that you've made before the pool or the dungeon, or is it the stuff you're seeing in real time? And has that balance shifted as you've gotten better over the years?
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, it kind of like completely depends on what stage of like, if you're, are you just talking at like for Mythic Plus or for raiding?
I mean,
it's like very
either
different.
one, whatever one you want to speak to, or both. It's your show, man.
Well, I mean, raiding is kind of like completely different because usually, I mean, as you pull a boss, you might think about like when you're focusing on your own gameplay, you're going to be thinking about kind of like what you can do better and what have you. But most of the time, you've kind of like already thought about it like way in advance. I mean, especially when like during Race World First, you have like heroic, you have like you have loads of heroic splits, so you get loads of practice on the bosses, and then you've had like previous mythic testing, so you've kind of like thought about like what you're going to do on the boss already. So it's already kind of like semi-scripted, I would say. Whereas Mythic Plus, at the start of the season, when you're first playing a dungeon, and you're changing routes all the time, I would say it's very much like kind of like on the fly, and you just kind of like adapt or make different decisions based off what you're doing in the dungeon.
Andy, would you say much like with what Plka was saying, that like watching those streams, digging through logs is going to help your average tank more than just face rolling their way through a dungeon, just brute forcing their way through a dungeon?
Yeah, I mean, of course it will, just purely because I mean, a lot of people will just like straight up copy if they don't know exactly what to do. And that is like a good road for success. I mean, me personally, when I'm like actively pushing a lot, I actually don't. I mean, outside of, I guess, when someone does like a new better timer or whatever, and they do like a new pull that I haven't seen before, it's very much like creating your own scripts, I would say, and just coming up with that thing. I mean, unless like, I mean, occasionally I might see something like another tank does, and I'm like, oh, okay, that actually looks like a lot better than what I do. And I'll copy it or maybe like change slightly what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, pretty much what Plka said is like obviously a good kind of like good road to succeeding. It's just being able to copy. I mean, it's just straight up easier, right, than coming up with something yourself.
All right, Andy, this is the hot seat. This is the big question. Be honest.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen something that Plka's done and you've stolen it and said it's your own? How many routes? How many cooldown rotations? Be honest.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched Tim enough to the point where I'm really looking at his gameplay and looking at what he's doing in a dungeon to...
Dagger to the heart. I'm sorry, Plka.
But then,
I shouldn't have asked. I'm sorry.
I don't really watch people on NA time zones anyway.
You heard it here first, folks. Plka's not good enough for Andy to take strats from.
Okay, if I ever want to try to make a brewmaster work in the MDI, apparently, I'll look at his streams.
Don't think that's a fair criticism, but I think
you guys are amazing sports. We're making great time, by the way. You guys are cruising. I want to inject a couple of questions from chat real quick. We have Heather from YouTube asking, and this is specifically for Andybrew. Andybrew, how's your day going, buddy? That's from Heather, YouTube.
It's going okay, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going good.
Good. And then Heather also asked up a follow-up question. Since this is a little less than 2 weeks before Christmas, she wants to know, Andy, what's your favorite game and/or your favorite Christmas film, other than WoW, I guess.
My favorite game.
Other than WoW.
I think my favorite game of all time has to be Fallout New Vegas.
Good answer.
And then my favorite Christmas film is probably Elf.
Oh, another great answer.
The Will Ferrell film. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Marez, what about you?
Yeah.
Favorite game other than WoW? Favorite movie? Christmas movie, sorry.
Okay, well, I'm currently Googling Christmas movies. I might be out of that one. Yeah, but the movie Andy said is great. I'm also going to go with Elf because I'm going to be honest here. I have no idea. I don't watch movies anymore.
It's a
so I've given
fantastic
up.
film.
Yeah, but it sounds like a great movie. I just Googled it. Looks fun. And I mean, my second favorite game, is Genshin Impact. Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm a gacha game enjoyer, sadly. It is what it
Degenerate.
is.
Sadly.
Yeah. don't spend money, guys. Don't spend money. But you can enjoy the game without spending money.
Oh, that's amazing. Plka, what about you?
I would say Christmas movie would be. I quite like the Home Alone movies when I was a kid. I watched them quite a bit. You know, always thought about ways to booby trap my house in case so a burglar came in. I thought that would be way more fun than apparently calling the police. And then I think favorite game growing up was Guild Wars 1. I had a lot of fun playing that game.
Wow, I think Guild Wars 2 just announced a new expansion. That's cool. I don't know anything about Guild Wars 1, sadly. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you guys for sharing, Heather. We hope you enjoyed their answers. If you didn't, too bad. Those are their answers. They can't change them now. We're going to move ahead to the next topic, and we're going to be talking about what changes when tanking stops being hard and becomes something that only a few people in the world can do. And Marez, we're going to start with you. What's the biggest responsibility difference between high mythic raid tanking and, you may not have a lot of experience here by your own self-admission, some high-level mythic plus, high-key mythic plus tanking?
Yeah, I mean, like you said already, I think this is a combined answer where the other guys would have to help me out a little bit. I've only played a little bit of M plus tank. I've pushed not so much. But I can say that I think raid tanking is definitely the difference between race to first tanking and normal mythic raid tanking is very high and very different. Where you have it's a completely different kind of skill set you're looking for or whatever. So it's hard to say what difference is there, I guess. Yeah. But in terms of M+, what I've experienced, at least is the situation that in raiding, oftentimes you get either carried from either you gear because you at one point out gear it or it gets nerfed, right? Or your raid leader tells you everything you need to do, or you just look at what's happening, you just copy, I guess, the race to first gets, right? And M+, I was always in shambles because, I mean, obviously you have to learn a lot of things yourself. Either you take endless time researching stuff and looking at things what might kill you, and then you still walk in and you have forgotten half the things and you just die. Or just in general, getting to learn the damage intake you have in M+ is a very different thing for me because I also just do randomly M+ on different classes, and it is so crazy how some dungeons feel as a tank where, I don't know, I take crazy examples. I take Guardian Druid and I don't know, Prot Warrior. You play Prot Warrior, you're fucking cruising the whole time, you're chilling, and then one magic bleed comes around, you're like, holy moly, what's going on? And as Guardian Druid, you are in your cooldowns, everything chilling, and outside of cooldowns, you are just dead all the time, in some cases, of course, right? But I think that's the biggest difference that I had, that you have way more self-responsibility in M+ compared to raiding, where in raiding it's a little bit easier to understand what you have to do, especially if it's not raised to a first raiding, I think.
Andy, what do you think?
But the other guys
you
should
agree
chip
with
in,
that?
by the way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair assessment. Yeah, I mean, I think the idea that only a few people can do this, and versus something that's just hard. I don't think that's true. I think a lot of people can do high level tanking. I think it's just they just mostly need to learn experience, or well, they just need to get that experience, I guess.
What do you
and a lot of
personally?
it is just time commitment.
Yeah.
But with what Marius was saying about kind of the responsibility difference. I mean, in raiding, I would say it's. I mean, for the most part, because the thing is, when you're playing like a lot with a group, you're gonna have stuff scripted down anyways at a certain point. If you're like first started playing with like M plus with them, I would say like the most important thing is you just don't die. Like, I mean, it sounds stupid, but like that's like the your main focus, right? The other stuff should come later or like after or whatever. That should be like the primary focus. And I mean, it's the same with raiding, really. Like I mean, Mira's talked about it earlier with you know first you solve your own stuff and then maybe you help out the raid if you can, or if it's an easier boss, you can, earlier on, what have you. Yeah, I think that those two are like, that is like the core of it, I think. Because some people try and I have noticed some people try and like rush it, they try and like run before they can walk. Um, and I think some of that is probably like, I mean, like semi-streamer influence. They see a streamer do something or what have you, and they immediately like want to copy and pick it up. And sometimes they just get a little bit ahead of themselves, I think. Um, and then they get upset, or then other people around them get upset at them. But yeah.
What do you personally like more? Is it the high level mythic raiding, mythic tanking, or high level mythic plus tanking, Andy?
It depends on the tier, because I've had some really great tiers tanking, like raid tanking, but then there's been some really like boring ones where they're not that fun. And then it's the same with M plus as well. I mean, okay, I think at the start of a season, when you're like figuring out dungeons and the routes aren't kind of like, and not everything is scripted, it is really fun. Like I think pushing then, because you get like a lot of dopamine because you're kind of like going up key levels all the time, and stuff is like more kind of YOLO. You're figuring out your own kind of scripts and how you want to do stuff, and that part of it's really fun. But then it gets really boring when it's just like, oh yeah, we want to do this key 20 times just to make our timer 10 seconds fast or 30 seconds fast or whatever, right? Because yeah, that's really tedious. Like I don't enjoy that part of it. Which is basically what all the people right now on Radar.io or like pushing are doing. Like all the figuring out is done. They've seen all the stuff at MDI, and it's just they're just going for like faster and faster timers, and they're shaving off like seconds on the run. And some of it is even just RNG, because so many specs nowadays have like such huge damage variance. And I don't know. I just I lose interest with that kind of thing. I think it's not as fun.
Plka, real quick, I just saw something in chat. Are you a Rummikub lover?
No. I was invited over to Jesse's house once, and they ambushed me with a Rummikub game. I didn't even know how to play.
It's Rummikub. Show some respect, all right?
Okay, and basically, I played like a couple rounds, and one of the rounds, I did nothing. It didn't even hit my turn, and I lost, or like I couldn't play. So I basically sat there for like 20 minutes, couldn't even do anything, and then they just told me you lost. And I was like, oh, this game is fantastic.
Jesse, hook a brother up. I love me some Rummikub, but we're getting off top. I just had to check. It doesn't surprise me that someone who can't tank mythic raiding can't handle Rummikub, but let's move on, shall we? Plka, where does the pressure really come from during your Mythic Plus runs at these high levels? Do you think it's the mechanics, the timer, the expectations of the people around you, or just something else altogether?
I think this probably varies a lot person to person. I'm sure if you are like these two champion tank players or DPS players here that are always in the spotlight, like they don't worry about things like expectation. But for me, I would say it's expectation, right? Mechanics is something that you don't really have to worry about as a tank, or you can figure out very easily. And then timer is again something that you just deal with so much you don't have to worry about. But expectation is quite difficult as a tank player in terms of pressure. One thing is that you're basically expected never to die. DPS can be on the floor hundreds of times using every single B-res. Healers can be like, oh, I was so focused on healing, died here, missed kick, do this and that. But if you're a tank and you miss one thing, people suddenly say, oh, you're a bad tank. Like, oh, you shouldn't, don't play with this guy. He sucks. He's terrible. Oh, he fell over on this one pull that I saw like the guys in the MDI do. Like, I don't know why he can't do it, right? So like the expectation of a tank player is be perfect, be like super sturdy, and do no wrong, right? But DPS players have like everything in their books they can do, right? So yeah, I would say the pressure as a tank player is expectation to play perfectly and do everything well every single time. Because in the end of the day, if something goes wrong with your gameplay, everybody notices it.
It sounds like you're dealing with a little bit of trauma, buddy. Are you okay?
It's just the game name of the game, right? Like usually, I think in Mythic Plus especially, I mean even in Raid, but like Mythic Plus especially, if your tank dies, there's probably like a 90% chance the entire dungeon is over, right? Rather than just like anybody else dying.
Well, speaking of tanks dying and poles falling apart, Andy, what do you think separates people, these tanks who can stabilize it, unlike Plka apparently, and the tanks who, from the tanks who lose control and whatnot? What separates these two people from being able to pull it off and not?
Well, I think that's just experience and knowing how to play when something goes wrong.
Now, hold on, wait, real quick, hold on, wait. Note to self: Plka doesn't know how to play. Okay, go ahead.
No, knowing how to play when things go wrong. It is a skill because some people. I mean, I remember when I pushed a lot in Shadowlands, we used to have this saying, which I think my healer Thana would always say, which was just play the effing game when something went wrong, and then like someone would be like yapping, it would just like shut everyone up, and like because the pool or what I have you might have gone wrong or something got ninja pulled, but like you can still save it. Like it's not like over or anything. Because I think that is actually an aspect of. I mean, I'm getting into something else now, but where like with resilient keys, I think people aren't like they're not as much like that where they want to like save like a scenario. Like people give up more often actually at the moment. Whereas like previously, like well, Dragonfly Shadowlands, you can do that, right? So yeah, I think it is like a real skill because like over the course of the season, and something goes wrong or what have you, we would just play the effing game and try and fix the situation. Like just game it. Um, I don't know. I mean, it sounds stupid saying like that, but I think the problem is that as soon as you overcomplicate something or think about something too much, then you're not like actively like trying your best to solve it. Um, you know.
Do you like the resilient system, Andy?
No, I hate it. I think it's garbage. I hate it. The main reason I hate it is because of boosting. I think it's boosting has always been kind of like a fairly predatory system, I think. And I think it's only just like exacerbated the problem, having resilience. I mean, you see it like constantly if you just open LFG or like on certain discords, yada yada yada. Yeah, I think it's created like a really big problem, or well, it's made the problem worse, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then also I think there's less kind of this whole needing to play kind of like as good as possible or like rewarding kind of like as perfect gameplay as you could, like kind of like say like there used to be this saying of play safe, big IO,
Mhm.
which is kind of like I think that was started by like Dorky or someone like that. And basically that's what key pushing used to be about, kind of like you wouldn't always do the most kind of crazy routes, but you'd kind of play it safe to be able to time the key, and it was all about kind of consistency. Whereas now people do a bit more kind of like crazy stuff, just purely because they know, oh, it's resilient, it's whatever type of thing. I don't know. I don't really like resilient as much. I think it's a bit. I don't think you should have that kind of like safety net when you're pushing. I think you lose like a lot of the fun aspect out of it. I think when it's like that.
Plka, what about you? Do you like it?
I mean, there are aspects about it I like. For instance, like I like going into like let's say Priory of Sacred Flame and you just try stuff, right? Like you can just go and try stuff. Okay, I'm gonna pull this, I'm gonna pull that. Oh, this didn't work, or like you get to like kind of get used to it because if you don't want to do it on the tournament realm, you can at least do it on live with like friends. The bad thing about it is very similar to Andy, right? Like there's a lot of people out there who, let's say, like Resilient 21 right now, right, which is like very like sought after. What happens is that there's one group or one or two groups that work really hard to get it, right? And they are like the first people who get in the world. And then one or two players from each of those teams will go and start spreading among all the other teams so that those teams don't have to earn it anymore, right? And they can do like 100, 200 times doing it and to get that one key easier than other groups who don't abuse that kind of system. So I would say that the not necessarily like the IO, but the accomplishment of being able to do what other people like have to do is like the pressure is more, right? Unless you abuse the system. So I don't personally like it in that regard, but I also love being able to experiment and try different things. So like, I have a love-hate relationship with it.
Miraz, do you have any experience with Resilient? I'm not sure how much you're doing Mythic Plus at the moment.
No, not really. I've only heard bad stuff about the boosting, to be honest. So I don't really can't really say much. But from the stories I've heard about the Resilient note keys, I think it has definitely gone out of hand in terms of what's going on. I guess because I think the system in itself is what people wanted, as far as I know. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But I guess how it developed is not really what people wanted.
Well, also Real Depot, right? So like you can't really believe in what people want.
I guess that's also true. Yeah.
Yeah, true. That's crazy, actually.
Yeah.
I know we've already touched on this a little bit, Maris, but do you think that tanking at the Race to World First level? Again, we've already talked about it. The question is it more about mechanical mastery, or is it about your emotional state, your mental control, or whatnot? And do you have anything else you want to add to that question, or do you think we've already touched on that?
I mean, I think you kind of touched on that already. I don't really have too much to say. I think it's mainly for everyone in the race. It's a big mentality thing, regardless. Yeah. Just committing to the race, because I think, like in the race, there's many people who would be qualified to play the race, but they don't want to because I go to them and I'm like, yo, you want to play 15 characters? And they're like, I mean, yeah, if all of them are different classes, and then I'm telling them, yo, it's going to be 12 times one class, and then maybe you get some alt. They're going to be like, that's not the hottest experience. And I completely understand that, right? Yeah, I think it's like the race is a big passion project, and regardless of what role, I think. So, yeah.
I'm glad you guys do it. But I'm also very glad that I don't do it myself. That sounds torturous. Oof. My goodness. Plka, real quick, I just want to say, Plka and I, we go way back to like BFA, and I'm so glad when I get someone on this show that I can just rip with and make fun of a little bit and just hang out with. So I just want everyone to know that Plka and I, we do have a relationship. We do have a history. So I'm not just picking on some random dude. It's okay. Also, he can beat me up in real life. I just want to let that. I just want to make sure everyone knows that. Okay. But Plka, how do you deal with the emotional side of being the person like we talked about a few minutes ago? That people look at and look to when things go wrong. Like, do you sit in the corner and cry every once in a while, or you just shrug it off and go, no big deal, it happens?
I think there's two things to this. One is you always have to separate responsibility from blame, right? You have to look at every situation where, like, was that person or even myself truly to blame when something goes wrong, or are they just a victim of the circumstance, right, or bad luck? Also, like, second, like, does that individual at that time make the best decision with what the knowledge that they had, right? If a pat was coming in, did they decide to, use their knockback because they thought nobody had kick or something like that, and then causes a wide scenario of bad situations, right? So that really protects everyone from like getting that unfair hindsight blame all the time. So you've tried to control that in your group. But secondly, I think you also have to remember that being looked up to is not the same as being alone. And what I mean by that is that people look up to you because they believe that you can handle that kind of situation, but you're able to like ask for input or suggestions from your group and let everyone kind of work together to find a better solution and not have to rely all on yourself to emotionally deal with that situation. And I think by asking for help and talking to your entire group all the time, it doesn't weaken your position as a leader, but rather humanizes it a little bit.
I'm not saying this just to be. I'm being sincere when I said that. Those are wise words. That's good stuff, man. I think a lot of people, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes later on in the show, but a lot of people are worried and nervous and scared about taking on the mantle of tank and that the responsibility comes with it. But yeah, I think that would resonate with a lot of people. That's good stuff. Andy, do you ever feel the weight of knowing the group's success hinges on what you're doing and maybe what you're reading over the next few seconds as combat unfolds?
I think like before a dungeon or before a pull in like a raiding boss, but I think if you're ever thinking about that while you're like in that scenario, I think you're just gonna fail, because you shouldn't really ever be thinking about that sort of thing while you're playing.
Kind of just needs to unfold naturally. Is that what you mean? Like
Yeah,
you've already figured it out, so just let things flow.
Yeah, I mean, you just do your best, right? Like, I think if you're actively thinking, "Oh no, if I die here, the like I don't know, this we're gonna wipe on this boss, or I don't know, like something's gonna go wrong." I think you're just setting yourself up for failure if that's in your head at all. I think that's something you can maybe think about like before, the pull or whatever, like, "Oh, I can't die at this point, I need to fix, me dying here, or I need to fix this." But I think if you're actively thinking about it like during the pull, I think that's just like really bad, I think.
So just roll with the punches. In your case, literally as a monk, correct?
As a monk. Well, I haven't actually played monk properly in a long time.
Oh, come on,
well,
man. That was a perfect segue / joke. How dare you?
I mean, the last time I played monk properly was Shadowlands Season 1. That's when I played it for Castle Nathria when I was in pieces.
That's a good raid.
Although maybe
that's
this
a good raid.
Maybe this too, actually. I might play monk, actually.
Speaking of
like midnight, you mean?
Yeah, midnight. Yeah.
Oh, midnight. Okay. Yeah.
Guys, it's like these guys read the script and knew what was ahead of them, because we're segueing into midnight, into the next tier, into the next raid. Look at these guys. They're professionals, both in game and out. Incredible. But we are going to be talking about midnight here and what the future looks like for tanks. And yeah, a lot's going on. And Maris, I want to start with you. I know it's still a couple months out, but which tanks are looking like early winners at midnight? We have a lot of changes that have been coming out over the past couple of months through alpha and then beta. And which tanks might be looking like they're struggling a little bit right now?
I mean, I think actually the changes to tanks are, I mean, in my opinion, from what I've played and done or whatever, are actually quite minimal in terms of what happens. Like, obviously there's changes. You lose some defensive, maybe some things are changed or whatever. But tanks are still a lot of buttons. You still have many things to do, to be honest. Some things got removed. I think that's very great. Like Brewmaster getting rid of, I mean, to be honest, they got rid of the wrong button in my opinion. But Rising Sun Kick was a good button to get rid of, at least reducing some of the buttons. And in general, they made the classes a little bit nicer to play, which is great. In terms of what tanks are good, I mean, who knows, right? I think Guardian Druid was bugged for 2 weeks. I think now it's playable again, I'm pretty sure. I haven't played it since then. And Plka is still in Champus, as far as I know. So we have to wait on an update on that guy, because he's in the trenches since like 4 weeks, I think. I'm just reading a list of bug reports and everything is in, I don't know, whatever about Plka. But I think the idea that is interesting to me is that Blizzard wrote in their blue post that they want to have Blood Decay also be pretty good in M+, which I think is a very scary thing if they want to try to do that, because to be honest, in my opinion, if they make Blood Decay good in high keys, Blood Decay will probably be best everywhere, most likely, because if they're going to be able to live the highest keys and I mean how Blood Decay is designed, they will be probably doing insane damage as well, and they will be the best in raiding as well because they are gonna be able to live high kills as well, and they're already good in raiding. So I don't know, but I'm not confident in that message personally. But I think so far, I mean, I think Blood Decay looks good. Vengeance Demon Hunter looks very OP right now. Brewmaster also, I think, is good what they're doing with the class. They have at least the right idea, in my opinion. And wait, I forgot a tank. Warrior. I mean, I don't know what the fuck they're cooking with Warrior, but somehow they got all the utility in the universe. So yeah.
I can see Plka smiling from here, grinning from ear to ear, knowing that Prot Warrior's solid, baby, rock solid. Plka, how are you feeling about Prot Warrior? And on top of that, do you think the community is underestimating any of these class changes right now, or do you think everyone's pretty much aware of what's going to be coming down the pipeline?
I feel like, I mean, everything's up in the air, right? Beta is still early, so you never know what's going to happen by the time midnight rolls around. But something that people, I guess, not so much underestimate, but they haven't really realized yet is the simplicity of some classes goes a long way, especially in the lower scene. I think in the last previous seasons, especially coming into like Dragonflight, when Rising Sunkick, for instance, came into play, Brewmaster got very complicated. So there was a really big difference between the top end Brewmasters and then like the average Joe, right? Because you would see the top end Brewmasters on the leaderboard, there's like 2, like 3, like yeah, and then but there's a big reason why, right? Because you'll see Brewmasters at the lower level, they'll just flop. They don't know how to live, they don't know how to do the same things that like the Monksies of the world are doing, right? Because the class is inertly so complicated. They have so much button bloat. They have so many different defensives. It's not really intuitive at all. So there was a huge gap. But by making Brewmaster a lot simpler, a lot less buttons, especially defensive buttons, so they all roll into one, and the class will be balanced around only needing that one big defensive, for instance. Making Blackout Cake a lot simpler, making Purification Brew a lot simpler to understand. There'll be a lot more Brewmasters being able to push because the barrier to entry just won't be there, right? So I think you'll see a lot more up and coming Brewmasters as long as everything is tuned well, up and coming in midnight.
Are you happy with the Prot Warrior changes, Plka? I mean, I guess it's not changing that much. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's not changing that much, to be honest. You are losing certain nice things here and there, like how anger management works. But like generally, I feel like tanking kind of feels the same.
Would you say it's a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, all tanks are abused anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Andy, based on what you've seen in the beta so far, what kind of tank do you think Midnight is going to is going to be pushing people toward? With the first, we know the 8 dungeons coming in season 1. We know the raids and the raid bosses. Is there a tank that you think, or a style of tanking that's going to help people get through these mechanics and dungeons and raids more easily?
Do you mean class, or you mean like how a player plays?
Yeah, I mean, like, some tanks absorb, mitigation or physical damage better, magical damage better. I mean, it's going to be a mixture of everything, but just any kind of insight that you have on this stuff.
Well, based off testing, most recent raid, I would say that Blood Decay seems very strong, like defensively on a lot of the fights. I mean, and there's like a few fights where like grip is like pretty nice to have. So I don't know. I could see them being like potentially, as long as they don't get nerfed too hard, being like probably like one of the best tanks to play for progress this raid. I mean, the other tank I played a bit on testing was Brewmaster, which felt very solid after the most recent patch. So yeah, I think, I don't know. I mean, I haven't played that many tanks in raiding really, or like. So yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of like Warrior too much. I think defensively they're fine and they've got like a lot of utility now, but I don't know. It felt like a bit bad to play, but maybe that's just because it's like early season. And when I played Warrior and Plus, the damage was like I was barely beating the healer actually. In a
Oh
Mythic PlkaTV I
yeah.
did. It was really bad. But I think that's supposedly better now.
I think so, yeah. But I haven't played this in as well.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, just to cover like all the tanks that I've played. So I think Prop Paladin it does take very good damage, but it's legit. It's very paper. It's probably the worst iteration of Paladin defensively that I've seen since, I don't know, like pre-Shadowlands, I think. It's
Wow.
really bad. Like they've gone back. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to rant or get into it too much, but yeah, I think it needs a new dev for sure. I think.
Bold
It
words
needs,
from Andybrew. Bold words.
I mean, yeah, I mean, what can you say at this point? You know, when it's been the way it is for like a few years now. I don't know. And then now it's like at the worst stage. I mean, obviously we're still in beta. There's still like many months to go. But I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, there's not too many months to go. It's close,
Yeah,
but
I mean, there's like what,
things can
3,
still
right?
change. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, true.
Maris, what kind of or what part of Blizzard's tanking philosophy do you think feels strongest right now, and what part may feel off a little bit?
I mean, I don't even know what tanking philosophy they have, to be honest. I think oftentimes I'm a little bit lost what they want tanks to do in some fights, to be honest. Because, I mean, on some fights, I don't know if, like, I guess I don't know how much Andy and Plka tested the bosses or whatever. But some bosses' tanks were actually involved, like a decent amount. And some other bosses, I felt like they forgot a little bit what was going on the tank department. Which is oftentimes the case, and I think that's just how the game is designed. I mean, I have a hot take on all of this. I think they should just, in raiding at least, obviously for the overall game, this is a worst decision, but I think they should just only do one tank. Like, there's truly, the time for 2 tanks has often be, like, I know it's a hot take, and maybe not many people agree, but I think on so many bosses, the second tank was having such a bad time, and they keep designing bosses that are meant to be where the one guy is tanking 95% of the time and the other guy is tanking some shitty mechanics, and it's just there, and you're like, man, it sucks so much. And I think they cannot design bosses to be interactive for 2 tanks unless the boss is like, I don't know, I think Dimi, for example, was a great example of how horribly wrong it can go. Like, in the first phase, both tanks, I mean, do we always use this for like 50 seconds? You don't even make a difference in the tactic. Like, if you go to one side or the other, you just have one more person, but the mechanics are laid out for like 9 people on each side. So, I mean, what are you doing there, to be honest? You're just putting a puddle that everyone hates, so you just leave again. And then on the other phases, the other tank does nothing apart from get knockback or something, right? Also use this. But then last phase, you have so much to do. So, I don't know. I'm always a little bit ranting on this because I feel like they should just either make bosses more feel like that they're fun and you have active things to do. Like, I always take Rygelon as a great example, where both tanks were getting completely destroyed, had many things to do. You were actively involved, taunting of each other, moving the boss or whatever, because it was a fast-paced fight. But then you have also other fights, like Magzi as a prime example of a horrible fight where the second tank, you could legit, I saw people one tank that fight on progress because a monk tank, like a monk DPS or healer could take the mechanic and they could just throw an external and you can one tank the fight. I mean, that sucks, right? So, yeah.
We could always go
Okay,
back
sorry.
to we could always go back to 4 horsemen. What was that? 8 tanks back in Nax tier 3?
Yeah, okay. The old times where everything was harder. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Andy, do you have any thoughts on what Maris was just saying?
No, I kind of agree with what Miraz is saying. I think probably for like the longevity of raiding, or I mean, I don't know, longevity is it's a big word, but yeah, it does feel a bit off. Like how a lot of the bosses are designed for tanking. I definitely think they didn't look at tanking that much with this most recent like raid testing, for sure. Or it definitely felt like that to me when I was testing. Like on numerous bosses, it felt very odd. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on there, but But yeah, I think maybe what Mira said, that is a solution, right? Just make bosses like only one tankable, or only have one tank. I think that could work. But yeah.
Plka, your guild nascent, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, number 1, awesome guild. Number 2, if nascent lost both their tanks tonight, would you step up to the plate next week and take care of business? Or are you a hard, no tanking at raid kind of a guy?
I actually asked my guild, or like I do a lot of tanking during farm, because I find like halfway through the raid I get way too bored even DPSing that I like to mix things up. And then I do tanking for a bit and I realize, oh my god, this is like so much worse. Because like there's tanking on progression, which is like really interesting, right? Because I did tank for Nascent for a few tiers, like when I did like back in BFA like Unot, where it was like I felt like it was the craziest tank damage that we ever had to deal with. We both had to play Monk. You had Transcendence over the beams. You had to tank the ads that were putting you in heavy stagger like all the time. But then when you're tanking farm, like there's some tiers where I was taking in other guilds where I was just memeing with my other tank, and we were just laughing at and making bets on which DPS was gonna die first, and we did like little gold side bets here and there, because tanking on farm is just like you don't need to do anything. It's just like brain dead. Like you were just sitting there and just getting your taunting every 5 seconds wherever the weak aura blows its air horn at you.
Well, hope you have a real life air horn lined up for next tier, buddy, because that weak aura, it's not going to be there anymore, right? It's gone. It's gone. Speaking of gone, tank damage, Plka. How do you feel like tank damage is going into midnight? We already touched on it a moment ago.
I mean, if you mean like the tanks, like what they're doing in terms of damage that they are doing and outputting, I think they're a little bit of everywhere, right? Because at the start of the beta, you had Blood DKs doing absurd damage. They looked like they were doing the damage they were doing in like Season 3, Season 4 of Shadowlands. I don't know if you guys remember the atrocities that the Blood DKs committed back then. Like Upper Karazhan, soloing like the worm boss. Like I don't even know why you even needed 4 other players. Like Blood DKs should still pay for their crimes that they did back then. Like similar to like BFA Prot Warrior, like we were paying for our crimes for like 3 tiers or 3 expansions rather. Blood DKs still need to be paying for their crimes that they did back then. But like I mean, after they were nerfed, VDH now is kind of like the king of doing huge amounts of damage. So I'm not sure where Blizzard kind of stands on how much damage they really want tanks to be outputting and like making DPS feel bad. But overall, like I don't think anything is different. There's always been winners and losers in terms of damage and survivability in every tier of WoW. So does it support the world? Does it distract from it? I'm not really sure, right? All I know is that tank players like to do big damage and they like to make DPS feel bad when they're not doing enough or competing with it. So as long as there's that kind of scenario in the world, then I guess it's okay.
We talked about that. I appreciate that, by the way. That's a good response. Andy, we talked a moment ago about losing weak auras. Do you think that this new UI direction that Blizzard is going in, do you think it's going to help your awareness, or are you already thinking about what information you're going to be missing out on in midnight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely kind of like worried about. I mean, it's hard to say I'm worried about it because it's just something that's going to happen for everyone, but. I mean, I think limiting weak auras was something that they had to do for a long time, and I think it's a good thing that that's happening. Although their way of limiting is just, getting a sledgehammer and going boom to everything, which I think is a very extreme approach, but it's obviously the approach that they've taken. I do kind of like worry about. I mean, to be honest with you, my main worries is as long as I have, good nameplates, I can have colored nameplates for Mythic Plus, which is like really, really nice. And also is nice in raiding as well on some bosses. As long as, I can see other people's cooldowns, defensives and offensives, as long as I can see interrupts, and as long as I can track any buff that I want or I want to. And I can track debuffs in a nice way. I mean, the way I currently track debuffs on beta is like fine. I guess it's playable, but it's not. I guess it's not ideal. But for the most part, as long as those like core things I mentioned are like there, then I think it's gonna be fine.
Are those core? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Are those core things there right now on beta? You would listed like 4 or 5 things.
So there is colored nameplates, but I would say the nameplates still like, even though I've played around with Platonator a bit, it still isn't as good as Plata was and doesn't feel right. I don't know. I mean, maybe by towards the end of beta, there's going to be like a better option or version of that, or at least I hope so.
I think Plater's coming. Plater announced they're coming back, right? I mean, neutered, but they're making their version.
Yeah, they are, but the various versions of Plata that I've tried on beta has all had like ridiculous amount of bugs that has been like kind of unplayable. But I don't know. Maybe it's different as of right now. Yeah, I mean, it's more, I guess, tracking CDs for M+ is going to be pretty much nightmare. Or tracking certain buffs that you'd want. Like for example, like tier set related stuff. For example, like there's nothing like, you can't have anything like that right now. Or I don't know, like I think trinket procs and stuff like that. I don't think that exists. I mean, all these things are like. I think you can track the trinket itself, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can track like the buff from it. At least I don't think so.
Yeah,
yet.
no. Yeah, you can't track the buff right now, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's good and bad stuff of the whole UI thing. I mean, I think for raiding, it's like going to be interesting, purely because of the fact that so many fights are going to be you're going to have to just play the game, not going to have things help you as much, or I mean, some fights you had things just telling you what to do. That's not going to exist anymore. So I think there's going to be a lot more kind of like proactive kind of gameplay, playing game as you go. But yeah, I don't know. There's still just a lot of stuff that's missing, which kind of worries me. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see, I guess.
I think we're all a little worried, buddy. You're not alone on that. Believe me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like playable on beta. I mean, I've played like quite a bit of beta, and I mean, you get used to it. It's definitely, you can play with it, but do you enjoy it as much as you did before? Like, absolutely not. And there's like a lot of stuff that you took for granted, mostly nameplate related. I mean, I don't know if Mirrors had this trouble, but when I was testing the Paladin boss, it felt so bad not having like proper nameplates for a boss like that. To the point where I had to be like so focused just on these like crappy Blizzard nameplates. And I don't know, it was just, it felt really weird to me because it's just like, okay, if I had proper Plata, how it was before, or how I have it on retail, this is like kind of like almost a non-issue. So yeah, I mean, stuff like that. Yeah, it definitely. It's like a weird thing because it's like it's adding difficulty that isn't really difficulty. It's like you're just losing like ease of access or ease of I don't know what the word for it is, but but yeah,
No,
I guess that's kind of my issue with the whole UI shenanigans.
I think a lot of people would agree with you. Mayrez, from your perspective as someone who's in the Race to World First, what concerns do you personally have, or what concerns have you guys discussed as a guild?
I mean, many things have been discussed. Not many things can be shared, to be honest. So I can't say too much. But I could say I did have the same issues and in the Paladin boss, and I was trying to play no UI or no add-ons or whatever on the testing. Yeah. And I did have to enable Plata to see if it's being cast on which tank the spell is being casted, right? Like the tank mechanic. But I mean, yeah. To be honest, I can't share much more with the add-ons, but I think overall it will be a lot more annoying for many people. That's, I think, the overall situation that will happen. And I also think for tanking in general, it will become even more annoying and hard to play in dungeons, just because you will be basically only relying on nameplates, I think. Like, I played a lot of M+, let's say, and on beta, and it's basically just nameplates. Like, you don't play with anything else anymore, to be honest, because you don't have anything else, right? There's nothing you have anymore, and nameplates are quite good, to be honest, if you have the right settings or whatever. Obviously, no color and other stuff. Like, there's many things they can improve, and I think they set colored nameplates stayed, right? So that's good. But like everything else, you just need to look at nameplates. You need to look at the shitty wherever you put it on your UI, on who's being casted on, if you can kick it or not, right, and other stuff. There's definitely many things that I think overall will make it more difficult for people to play the game on a higher level. But also it will make it obviously easier for people to get into it and not really care, because of also how they design new dungeons and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely think if you are really good at the game and you play a tank with high utility, or like you're good at controlling things or whatever, you can probably carry so many things in the new way in the beginning. Because if you have an overview on nameplates and you can just fix a lot of things yourself, let's say if you're playing Warrior, DK, right, like you can grip, CC a lot of things yourself. And I don't know, it is pretty interesting, I think, but it definitely is a big downgrade in M+, especially, I think, which a lot of people are potentially not ready for, because especially in raiding, Andy said already, in raiding, I think it makes sense. And also, I don't think many people will miss stuff in raiding, in my opinion. Like, not having crazy VCRs telling you stuff, like, it's not, like, everyone always says the raiders will be shit without VCRs, but it's the complete opposite, in my opinion. The good people in raiding will still be good, and nothing will change. But especially in M+, the difference will be so crazy, just because of how much M+ VCRs have carried over the years in every department for any role, to be honest. Like, having sound alert for kicking, having a nice interrupt bar, seeing everyone else's cooldowns, seeing like the whole overview that you will have currently, and like you go into a pull and you just hear, like, I've seen VCR packs, yeah, dodge, frontal, dodge, move, kick. I'm like, holy moly, yeah. And obviously all of that will fall away, where in raiding it's fairly straightforward what's going on, right? So I don't know. I think M+ will take a big hit. Probably with the add-ons going away, or VCR specifically, right?
Yeah. That's something I've consistently heard from numerous guests, many of them, is that with the removal of weak auras and other combat add-ons, the people who are at the highest level, they're going to be fine. But a lot of people that are at that low to mid level that have just gotten so used to and so dependent upon these things, they don't know how to shore those weaknesses and how to read the situation without that tool. So we'll have to wait and see how things are going to get how things will shake. Wow, I can't talk. You know what? Never mind. Let's just move on to the next topic, shall we? Instead of me fumbling over my words, I want to talk about what a lot of people get wrong about tanking. And Maris, I want to start with you. Why do you think tanking is so psychologically intimidating for people, even before mechanics come into play?
I mean, probably because you get blamed for everything. Like, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I would assume, like, when you saw the clip earlier from Plka, he flies in Cinderbrew. He's like, "There's my time to shine." He goes in, insta dead. What is the first response of the group? Shit, tank. Yeah, that's it. Like, nah, but I think
question mark?
yeah, tank question mark, exactly. And then the tank needs to reply with healer question mark. Yeah, that's the best.
One heal.
No, but I think a big issue of tanking is, I mean, there's, I think, two things. Like, one thing is for the mentality, or the mental, like, hit you take, because like we discussed earlier, DPSs can die, it's okay, the key will probably go on, but if you die, the key is bricked 95% of the time, right? Like, it's not like you can just res it up and kite it out, it's fine, right? Like, especially also on many tanks, you get rest, you taunt insta-dead, yeah? So you need a few seconds, you need to sacrifice some DPSs before you can start tanking again, and then the key is downhill already, right? So it's a bit shambles in that department, of course, but I also think the other thing for tank or whatever is also that I feel like sometimes the focus of tanks that I speak to or I've coached in the past or whatever is that it's just wrong. And they're like, oh, I need to do damage in M+, or like I need to do damage in raiding. And I'm gonna be honest, I think it does not matter until you reach like the very end game of WoW that you do 10% more damage as long as you stay alive. Yeah. And that's probably a big issue that many people have because doing damage is fun. I get that. But it's probably not the right decision for many, many cases in the game. And obviously, that's a little bit the sad part, and also why people probably don't enjoy tanking, right? Because, I mean, it's cool to be topping the meter and doing damage. I mean, I think everyone knows that. Yeah.
Plka, would you agree with that? And then on top of that, what do you think, if that's not the number one issue, you know, focusing on damage instead of staying alive and whatnot, what is the number one mistake you see new tanks making nowadays?
I think number one, I mean, that is definitely a big thing. People who are all about how much damage I can do and don't focus on survivability is probably one of the number one core issues there is out there. But another one, I see a lot of new tanks or even tanks who are going into a season, they get caught up in the meta, right? They end up playing like, oh, I saw Andybrew playing VDH on stream. That I'm gonna play VDH even though I've never played it before. And like suddenly, I think I'm gonna become like number one rank 1 IO because I'm now playing the meta tank, right? As opposed to playing something that maybe you're way more comfortable with, maybe even playing with years, maybe something that you understand or resonate with a lot more, right? Like playing a tank at the 90th percentile, like even though it's off meta, is going to be way more effective for your group or your like even just your fun in general than playing something that you've never played before, and then you're staring at the buttons and like just trying to make sure that you understand how like demon spikes works, right? And in that regard, so like unless you're playing like the rank 1 keys in the world, like most of the time you're gonna see 1 or 2 of each tank on the top leaderboard, making it work in some capacity, right? So like don't focus so much on what the number 1 players in the world are doing, especially if you're not and playing near that level. Just focus on what you enjoy the most, because innately you will play better if you are enjoying that kind of gameplay.
You know, Plka, real quick, it's a little side tangent. Based on everything I'm seeing in your background, your favorite Pokemon is Charizard, correct?
Oh, what? Not at all. It's not even Pikachu. It's not even Pikachu.
All right, that's actually a real what? Are you? What's the point then?
It's Snorlax, right?
Oh, whoa! It's not Snarl. Actually, my favorite Pokemon right now is Quagsire. I love that Pokemon. That Pokemon is sick. But the only reason I chose Pikachu as my mascot is because Pikachu taught me from a very young age that anything is possible, because you can use a Thunder Shock and defeat an Onix in a gym battle, and that makes sense somehow because, you know,
That's
electric
amazing.
can hurt rock Pokemon. You know.
That's fantastic. Andybrew, to kind of tack on everything we've been talking about, what do you think a beginner, someone who's just getting their feet wet, what should they be focusing on first? Routing, mechanics, confidence, or is it just something else altogether?
Yeah, well, we talked about this earlier. I think it's just not dying. I mean, it's gonna be, yeah, just focusing on their own survivability. Sorry, I think it's like the number one thing.
And do you think that just comes with practice?
Yeah, I think. Well, the other things come with practice, really. So I think, you know, let's say like they're first starting on like a key or whatever. I think they should focus on, you know, maybe some sort of general route that they've picked up. Maybe look into the routes a bit more if they're like are unsure. But when they're doing the dungeon, if they pull wrong, or like let's say they pull the wrong pack, they get the route wrong or whatever, you know, their main focus should still be, okay, can I still like adjust this? Like, how are my cooldowns looking? You know, um, especially when they're like very new into a dungeon, like their whole focus should just be on them living. And then, you know, as you play more and more, then you can, you know, slowly add in new things, you know, like, oh, you know, I got the pull, you know, I did the pull better this time, you know, or I pulled all the right packs, you know. Yeah, I think the thing that they should focus on first is, you know, and also just to kind of go in there, because like Tim was talking about it earlier, I think at the start of this discussion, which was to do with how there's like a lot of pressure from DPS players to be like, I'm DPS player, pull big tank, I want to do damage. And I honestly think you have to kind of have this kind of almost like alpha mentality sometimes, where you just be like, no, or like, just shut up. And, you focus like, because it's definitely a mistake that I've done in the past when I'm doing high keys and I've focused too much on trying to do things for the DPS. And as we go up in key level, it has led to situations where I've either died or I've either had to sacrifice things that I shouldn't have kind of like sacrificed. Um, and I think you have to sometimes take that aside and be like, okay, if I die, that's like the worst thing that can happen. Like, and we're trying to be like consistent in this dungeon, or we're trying to build consistency. So then you kind of have to say to yourself, well, just no, like just like stop, let me go like a slower pace, or I don't care like if you want to add this other pack because you have cooldowns coming soon. Like I don't want to do it. Maybe we do that, at a later time, when everything is like more comfortable. We can adapt or add that in. But a lot of times, what happens, when you have like these really pushy DPS, and they force the tank to do stuff, like constantly like that, is you just become really inconsistent, and yeah, it's just not fun to play like that. So yeah, I think you definitely. I mean, in raiding, it's almost the opposite, as Mira said earlier. How the tank, as you figure stuff out, the tank then needs to do like all the kind of like bitch roll stuff. But in M plus, I think it can be like that sometimes, but I think for the most part, you have to know when you shouldn't do that and when it should just be focusing on your own survivability, or what's good for you, especially if something ends up being bad for you.
I think also like for beginner focus is that you should really understand what your class is good at necessarily. So for instance, like prop warrior, physical damage, you're always going to be really good at it, right? Like or like prop paladin, you're always good at controlling multiple mobs because you can interrupt one with your shield and interrupt the other just with your normal kick. Something I see a lot of like new players or just players in general is like they won't maximize the use of their own character before kind of thinking like they should do other things or like focus on route stuff like that. Like I've been a lot of in coaching sessions where I'll see a prot warrior not use shield wall for like 5 minutes, right? Because they're like, oh, I don't need to use it, or I didn't die, right? So I didn't have to use shield wall. So it's kind of like in that raiding mentality, like, oh, I didn't die, so me not using health pot was like correct. Right, whereas using health pot would ease the stress on the healer, so they could focus on other things like that. So really focus on your own gameplay and using your character and maximizing your abilities to the most. Because yeah, you can go through a whole dungeon and maybe never press fortifying brew, right? But think about how much better or more efficient that dungeon may have been if you got like 7 uses out of that whole 30-minute dungeon.
Today I learned that Plka watches my gameplay, so there you go, people. Learn from my mistakes, as Plka just said. Use your abilities, because I may or may not be guilty of that every once in a while on my ults. Certainly not my main, but definitely my ults. Marez, what advice would you give to players who want to become great tanks and not just functional tanks?
Well, they should pop Barkskin IRL, yeah, and just do what Andy said, yeah. Like sometimes just feel what they like. You should go at your own pace, or like focus on the things that you think are the best or whatever, and then improve on those. I think it's important, because one thing I've learned as well over the past, I think Andy said it great earlier, was that the DPS players have no idea what the fuck is happening on the tanking role most of the time. They just chill in the back, do damage, and you as a tank, you have so many things going on, and you're like, what the fuck? And the DPS player are like, just don't die. That's the best quote, by the way. I would always recommend saying that, don't die. Yeah, just don't die. When your tank dies, just type in chat, just don't die next time. That always helps, yeah. No, but I think those things, like just focusing on yourself, and just, I think the great example is as well Moxie, like the group that plays no voice, highest keys ever, they do chill, relax, small pulls. Obviously, their comp is tailored around it, right? But they do chill, relax pulls, and they're also completing the keys. If you now, I don't know, a few levels lower, you will also complete the key doing a little bit more relaxed pulls. You don't have to do the highest, craziest pulls ever. You can slowly get into learning those whenever you feel more comfortable with the other stuff, right? If that makes sense. So,
No, it definitely makes sense. Yeah. Plka, how do you teach someone to stop overthinking everything and just commit, man, whether it be to a poll or whatever? Can you teach that, Plka? Can you teach it?
I mean, I think you have to take away the opportunity cost from it, right? Like, people need to realize that them dying, them failing at whatever they're doing is not the end of the world, right? You're not going to be thrown out of your house. No one's going to defriend you, right? Your wife's not going to leave you because you didn't time this key, right? Like, it's fine to make mistakes. It's fine to die. Like, I mean, I've died. Like, you guys saw those clips at the start of the thing. I've made terrible mistakes, like horrible mistakes, but people are still willing to play with you. People are still willing to watch me for some reason, even though they've seen me do those kind of absurdities, right? Like, it's okay to fail and it's okay to do things wrong. But as long as you always come and learn something from it and make sure you don't make that mistake again, or even if you do make that mistake again, you learn to be a little bit like 5% better at it next time. And this is in life too, right? Like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try new things. But as long as you always learn something in the end of the day, it was the right choice.
A lot of people are saying in Twitch chat, unless your wife is the healer, Plka, then what, huh? What do you do in that case, buddy? Problems. That's what's going to happen. All right. Last question for this topic, and then I'll check in with you guys if we have time to continue on. Andy, what did you personally struggle with early on that people might be surprised to hear about?
When I first started tanking,
Anger. Sorry.
anger. What did I first start struggling with? I don't know. I mean, I remember when for me, it was finding people to play with at the start.
That's actually I'm not just saying this to encourage you. That's something that a lot of people struggle with. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. Go on.
Yeah, I mean that was something I struggled with for a long time. Until I first played with Dr. J in a Waitress Manor in BFA season 1. And then I started getting invited to like more and more keys. And then that's when that problem kind of like I guess like got solved. But I think my first struggle was when I started playing with people that wanted to do kind of more advanced stuff. Was I was used to just kind of like full YOLOing everything. Kick, everything stops. Just kind of use everything off CD type of thing. And I think it was definitely a struggle to like play with like someone else kind of like doing what they wanted to do, or like how they wanted to set up a pool, like utility wise. I think that was definitely a struggle to start off with. Because I think for a long time they might call someone else to kick and I would just still interrupt because I don't know. Well, I don't know. It was just I'm used to like it was what I was used to, and then yeah, that was definitely something I was struggle with, I think.
So your advice, and I'm being serious when I say this. So I think this is good advice, and correct me if I'm wrong. Network with people, connect with people, be consistent, try to run with people, preferably the same people. Communicate, converse, listen, learn, shore up some weaknesses, try to fix your mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, finding people is definitely, I think it can be really hard. Like, I mean, I've had like numerous questions on my stream over the years of, how do I find people to play with? Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a difficult one because I mean, I hate pugging. Like, I hate going into queue and just pugging it up. It can be a horrible experience. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the only thing you can do is, people that you maybe pug with, maybe you like that one person that you pugged with, and then you get talking, all of a sudden, you play with more people that you like playing with, or like fun to play with, or you had a good experience with. I mean, that's kind of what I first started doing, I think, many years ago. But yeah, I totally get it, because a lot of people just absolutely hate pugging. It's like one of the worst aspects, I think, of Mythic Plus.
I think a lot of people would agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys going to stick around for a few more minutes to get through this last section? Does anyone need to take off?
Good.
Sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I told these guys before the show started, by the way, oh, don't worry, guys. I'm going to try to keep it at 90 minutes. I've been running over late recently, and here we are running over time again. So thank you for your flexibility, gentlemen. We're going to swing on into the last section here about why these guys still tank, even with all the blame being placed at their feet. Dungeon after dungeon, Plka. We're going to start with Maris. What moment, Maris, reminds you of why you love tanking still to this day?
That's a good question, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I just love the game itself. And I mean, I could say that, like, I don't know. I don't really have a specific moment, I think, in that sense. Maybe maybe I should think about that more. But what I really like about tanking is that it's not only about like doing damage and, let's say, competing with the other people and on the meta or whatever. Especially for me, it's a lot of fun in the game to just play the tactic correctly, position the boss accordingly, so everyone does more damage, that the raid has a good time playing the boss or whatever. Just getting rewarded, and maybe also getting some nice compliments potentially from the like your fellow raiders, I guess. Yeah, doesn't happen often, to be honest, never. But no, but sometimes in general, just getting to play the mechanics and the fight in a different way than any other role is what I really enjoy. Just focusing on the strat, moving the boss, just having a way better time, like maneuvering the fight and doing other stuff than just doing the most optimal damage, I think is what I really enjoy about tanking, I guess. Yeah.
Hey, if you guys need a little bit of encouragement, you're all amazing tanks. Keep up the good work. A lot of people look up to you guys. All right? Give yourselves pats on the back. Don't sell yourself short, Maris. You're amazing. Keep up the good work. Plka,
thank you.
you're welcome.
I will go
You're
back
very
to
welcome.
typing healer question mark when I die in dungeons. Yeah.
Plka, what does tanking give you, emotionally? Kind of the same question that maybe no other role does. Like, why is it tanking for you in dungeons? Why don't you? Because you DPS in raid, so why aren't you DPSing in dungeons? Is it the control? Do you like being in control? Is that what it is?
I think freedom is probably the most important answer to me. One on a little bit on the line you're talking about is that I think all main tanks who tank in Mythic Plus are a little bit of control freaks. We are a little bit of control freaks because I don't know about you guys, but like when I watch other people tank, like if I'm DPSing in that group, I'm just like, why? Why are we only pulling this? Like you can do so much more. Or why are we going left when you should be going right? Like why are you pulling this first? Like why is the boss moving this way? Like and that's going in my mind the entire time when I'm watching somebody else tank for me. That like I just can't. Like it makes me immediately go like, yeah, I should have been tanking, or I would be having way more fun if I was tanking right now, just because like you get to choose like the pace of the dungeon, you get to choose like what you're gonna pull, how you're gonna do it, or where the group kind of goes, and I love that feeling of being in control at the same time of like still complaining about why am I the one responsible to have to do all this stuff. But also, I guess the biggest reason of all, like a little bit what you guys said before, is I hate being an LFG. Like I've seen my friends like that are DPS mains like have to be in LFG for like an hour just to get like a group going. But like in NA at least, if you're a tank and you log in and you're not committed to a group, like you want to play the game just like this. Like you message 4 people, all right, let's go on, let's start playing.
Plka, a lot of your answers, I feel again, I think you're carrying around some trauma, buddy. You have some. You're very explosive with your answers. People suck. I don't know why we're doing this. You need to talk. We can talk after the show, okay? It's okay. It's okay. I appreciate your answer in all seriousness. Go ahead.
I mean, what Plka's saying is actually so true, because I've had the same experience when I've DPS'd in a dungeon. and I'm like, wait, what is this tank doing? Where is he going? Like, I've had the same thing. So I think you might be right. It might be onto something. Maybe it is a control freak type of thing.
I think that's
Uh,
absolutely what it is.
Yeah.
Andy, what keeps tanking meaningful for you after all of these years? Like, what's the core experience that you're chasing every time you log in? Control.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I think, and in plus, at least it is. I mean, raiding is a bit different, but I mean, in raiding, it was always kind of like I like it when a boss. Well, I don't know. You don't really get them as much. I mean, I guess Dementia sort of, but you used to kind of get like these like very like hard hitting bosses. I mean, more akin to I guess like in Shadowlands, for example, that would just absolutely rail you, and it's kind of like fun, kind of like overcoming that. I guess.
And he likes being railed, by the way.
Okay, I didn't put it like that, but yeah, I think it's fun, like overcoming that challenge. That's something that always keeps tanking like fresh. I think the other thing to kind of like give pseudo props to Blizzard is that there does tend to be like at least one tank every patch that is kind of like more fun to play than it was in the previous patch. So that kind of always keeps tanking fresh, I guess. Like you just play like a new tank and like, oh, okay, they've changed this with this tank. Actually, it feels really good this season, maybe because of the like some patch they did, or because of the was it tier set bonus or something like that. Or maybe like a trinket or something. But yeah, that's I guess the only thing I'm really like kind of chasing, or less like the core experience, I guess. And then in plus, it's more kind of just the I guess the control and freedom, as Tim was saying. But yeah, I
Maris,
think that's the
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that was it. Sorry.
No, you need not apologize. I don't want to talk over you. You can talk as long as you want. I don't mind. So you cut me off. It's all good. But Maris, when you think about everything that tanking has taught you, patience, leadership, problem solving, so on and so forth, what lessons have followed you outside of the game?
Yeah. Patience. Yeah, patience is always important. Yeah, I think. Yeah. No, but I mean, I think generally just I don't even know what followed me. I think I do too many other things to know what kind of lesson from tanking followed me out of the game. To be honest, I don't know. But patience is always a great thing, to be honest, and communication with other people, right? So I guess I will pick those two things.
No, I think those are very. I mean, communication's a really important one. I know for me, back. I'm going to go off on a tangent. I apologize. I started playing MMOs back in '99 when EverQuest came out, and I quickly learned how important communication was because there was no Vent, TeamSpeak. Of course, Discord wasn't around back then. It was all typing all the time. So, and that has just evolved and just continued on for years and decades now with how important communication is, whether it be in the middle of a dungeon run or after a boss wipe and just figuring things out. So I think that's a super fair take. Plka, last direct question to you, buddy. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I don't know. We'll see. With everything that tanking has been asking of you over these past few expansions, why do you still choose this role? Like, what is it about this role that you thought to yourself, I can't quit, man. This is it. I'm locked in.
I think I love tanking because it kind of fulfills something more than just for myself. And what I mean by that is like it's such an impactful role in Mythic Plus that allows me to help friends from like all different like abilities succeed, right? So I can go and tank in my high-end Mythic Plus group, or I can go down and like tank for the average Joe, which are just like newer friends that are coming to the game, right? But it's so impactful that I let them experience a whole different side of the game. And what I mean by that is that when I was younger and I was a kid, I used to watch like great streamers like Andybrew or
Rummikub
Mirrors
is that?
on the big screen, like, and I'd watch them like do the MDI, right? And I was like fanboying so much because I'd be like, wow, those pulls are so crazy. Those pulls are so cool. Like, I wish I could run dungeons very similar in such a fashion where it's like controlled but like huge, because huge pulls is always such a huge adrenaline rush, right? When you pull like 5-6 packs of mobs and you come in, you just AoE them down. Like I always had like such a rush, like seeing that on the screen. And then when I started experiencing that and like getting to that level of gameplay, I was able to like bring that back to like a lot of my friends who weren't huge big Mythic Plus players, and then they'd be like, wow, this pull is insane, or this was so fun, or this route was insane. Like I love this like tank, like being able to do this and show us that side of the game, right? And I always have like such a like a little smile when people enjoyed the dungeon because they got to have such a different experience than their average tank in LFG kind of run.
I think that you hit the nail on the head there, man. Being able to provide something like that, it's spectacular. Andy, last direct question to you, buddy, then we're going to wrap it up here. Is there a moment when tanking felt bigger than the game itself for you, where maybe it was, it was about the people you were with and maybe not the boss that you were standing in front of?
Well, I'd say it was when I won Race Toward First of Mirrors in a major song. I think that's when, yeah, that felt really weird. I think.
Like
I
surreal
don't
weird,
know.
or what do you mean by weird?
Yeah, I mean,
Like, I can't believe that just happened. I'm here. I'm experiencing this, that kind of
well,
thing.
I mean, the thing is that we got to the boss, like after Liquid did, and I don't. I mean, you kind of like purge it in the back of your head, but in the back of your head, you kind of thought, okay, this is gonna be really hard to win, right? Because they had like I think they had a full day on us on Ferrec.
Yeah, I think it was P1. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry to interject. Yeah, it was like almost full of P1. Yeah.
yeah, full day P1 on us. So like for us to kind of like catch up and then win, yeah, it was definitely, it felt really good, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think a lot of people, think about experiences in their life when they've done something larger than life with a group of people, and just how exciting and exhilarating moments. Like, I can't even imagine. Plka, have you ever won a Race to World First?
Of course, every day.
I
I
don't believe you.
win all the time. Yeah, it's
Pathetic.
just like a normal thing, you know?
Can't believe who invited this guy on. I got 2 Race to World First winners and then Plka. Unbelievable. Jeez. No, I did I interrupt you, Andy? I'm sorry if I'm sorry.
no, you didn't. I mean, this is like pretty much it. I mean, that's like the only time where the game has like felt like, oh, holy shit, this is like really big kind of thing, I think. Because also the viewership in the major sale was like really crazy as well. So yeah, that's I think that kind of like all what kind of exacerbated it. But that's like the only time where I felt, where like it felt bigger than the game, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I can't even imagine what that has to feel like. That's crazy. All right, gentlemen, you have been so kind and generous with your time. We're going to wrap this up. I have one more question. It's a group question for all of you guys. Andy, we're going to shoot right back to you and send it to you. If you could send one message to every aspiring tank right now, something you wish that someone had told you early on in your tanking career, what would it be?
One message.
Or 7, whatever you want, man. Use your defensives. Don't die.
Use your defensive, don't die. I mean, those are good tips. I think it's you got to be your own biggest critic and learn to kind of be able to like be self-critical. And I think recording your gameplay is like really really key if you ever want to actually get better. Recording a raid boss that you do or a dungeon, and then you need to arm yourself with the tools to be able to figure out what you could do better in a given scenario. Like if you didn't like how something went, or if something did just objectively go bad, you need to be able to learn how to figure out how to do whatever that was like better. Whether that's pressing, some defensives differently. Maybe that's, utilizing an external in a given scenario, or how you set up a poll in a Mythic Plus, yada, yada, yada. I think that's like the most important thing, I think, that you need to try and like yeah. Or you can just do the typical thing, which is just to say healer ?
Those are really good tips. All right, Plka. Oh, go ahead. I didn't talk over you. Okay, just making sure. Plka, same. No, you can't steal what he just said, Plka. You got to come up with your own thing. All right. One message to aspiring tanks everywhere. What would you tell? What would you tell these guys?
My one message would be, quote, "You are not there to be perfect. - you are there to be steady." End quote.
Could you tell us where that came from, Plka? Could you? Where that sounds like such a nugget of wisdom. Where did that come from?
I mean, I think a famous person named ChatGPT once said that when they inputted that question onto it. I guess that another, very personal one would be try DPS. That would be what I would tell all aspiring tanks.
You see the caliber difference between a race to world first response and this response down? You guys see the difference here? This is unbelievable. No, you've been such an awesome sport, Plka. Thank you so much for being here, man. I really do appreciate it. But Maris, we're going to shoot it over to you. Last question, or last answer to this question. If you could send one message to every aspiring tank out there, what would it be?
Yeah, very difficult. Andy took a lot of the good answers that I wanted to say as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
he kind of yoinked most of them. No, but I think it is always important to, like, you should keep believing in yourself. I spoke to a lot of people that were like discouraged at the beginning and then be like insta quit tanking or whatever. But I do want to combine a little bit. I think people should believe in themselves, but I also think there's a lot to gain from playing DPS. So Plka is not so wrong. Because if you get the perspective of a DPS player, you can also learn a crazy amount of things as a tank, what DPS players would like, right? I think many of the good tanks, and I think almost all of them at this point, were DPS players in the past or are playing DPS on the side just to get a different perspective. And I think especially later on, if you feel more confident in tanking or whatever, it's a great step to improve as well. Yeah.
That's an awesome response, but I love what someone in Twitch chat just said. Scarin said, "Those who can't do DPS." That's good. I like that. Well said, Scar. Well said. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I want to go around one more time. Plug yourselves. Tell people where they can find you. Again, you can see everyone's Twitch name underneath their webcam, but Andy, Andy over here. Sorry, I was pointing to the wrong direction. Take it away, man. Where can people find you?
Well, I guess only really on my stream. I mean, I guess Twitter as well, Andybrew10. But I don't know. I don't really tweet much, so I don't know. I mean, if I'm not streaming, I guess you can't really find me anywhere.
Well, it's Andybrew3, correct? Why is it 3 in one place and 10 in another? Is that just what was available?
Yeah, that's just what's available.
Hate to see that. Hate to see it. I hate when you're forced to take something that's not the same. Like, it has to be 3, 1, 10 in the other. That's got to be annoying. But Andybrew3 is where you can find this guy. Make sure you guys go follow him, sub to him, support him, tell him how much you love him, so on and so forth. Plka, where can people find you, my man?
You can find me on Twitch, on YouTube, on X, in Toronto, on the streets, hanging out, BlizzCon. You can find me anywhere, but always feel free to shoot me a DM if you have any questions. I'll just link you to a VOD of Andybrew dying. Perfect.
Okay.
Mares, wrap it up, buddy. Where can people find you?
Okay, yeah, we need to. This is becoming dangerous. No, so yeah, I mean, I can be found on Twitch as well, of course, on Twitter, sometimes, very rarely. Yeah, I think those are basically the only 2 places, and sometimes on Discord. Yeah, basically, there's also some stuff going on, of course.
You guys are amazing. Thank all 3 of you so much for being here today and carving out a couple of hours of your day to come hang out with all of us and educate us and sharing all your wisdom and insight and whatnot. Next week, we've got Dratnos Tactics and Preheat on. We'll be talking about all kinds of stuff leading up to midnight in the second last show here in December. So again, Dratnos Tactics and Preheat. Gentlemen, get out of here. I appreciate you. And just thank you so much. Give yourselves a round of applause. Everyone, make sure you go follow him, sub to him, let them know how much you appreciate him. And we'll hopefully see you guys again sometime in 2026. But that's it. Have a good one. And that is a wrap on episode 7 with those guys. Absolutely fantastic job. Super appreciative of them sitting down, as I said many, many times. Thank you guys for watching, for listening, and of course, follow, subscribe, share. I really want you guys to do whatever feels comfortable and best for you, but anything that you can do to help share and get this video seen and heard would be greatly appreciated. Go enjoy the rest of your week. I appreciate you guys being here. Feel free to check me out on Twitch, on Patreon, on Discord, and here on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you're watching and listening. But for now, I'm out of here. We'll see you next week with Dratanos, Tactics, and Preheat. Really excited for that episode. But we'll see you next week, Sunday. Let's see if I can get this right. Sunday, December 21st, 2025 at 2 p.m. Eastern. Until then, have a great week. See you next time.